And welcome back to Propped by the Bar. Again, we must thank our viewers. Our last episode was another new milestone for us in terms of total views. So we appreciate you continuing to tune in.
On. Yeah. Don't forget to subscribe though when you watch it. That'll helpful.
All right. Well, here we are again.
Yeah.
Another RBA meeting.
And surprise, surprise, no change.
No change.
No change at all. They've got a bit of a consistent pattern, don't they? They sort of, they like the hold, maybe drop one, hold, maybe drop one or maybe go up again. I don't know.
I don't know. It's just the commentary around it upon economists. You can't keep up. It's like we expect 3 cuts this year, no cuts till early next year. Then today I'm hearing some saying not till the end of next year. You
could have said 3 weeks ago people were saying there was going to be a cut, but then like that the inflation numbers came out and it just blew the water.
Yeah, so unemployment is up.
Yeah,
but that's not enough to.
No, unemployment's down. It's the opposite. So unemployment's up. So yeah, we're losing jobs.
Yeah,
people are losing their jobs. So and the interesting fact about that is talking to a few people in government sectors in different departments of the government is that it appears like the state government of Victoria is putting a bit of a mandate to reduce the number of employment within the government sectors in Victoria, which is fantastic. I think it's a good thing to see because what we have seen over the last period of time, especially in Victoria, is the private sector has lost a lot of jobs and lost a lot of employment, and they've been replaced by the government sector. So we've really had this this swap of where the money's coming from into people's jobs from private to government. And we're very government heavy now, and to see the government starting to cut that back and bring that back, I think it's healthy because I think that will bring a more active employment market. I think for employers, that's going to make it easier to hire people and create business outside of government. And our biggest sectors over the last period of time have been like health services and things like that. And it was interesting to note in the unemployment figures that they were some of the areas that were losing jobs as well. Yeah. So the health service and health sectors. So yeah, jobs rates up, which is sort of, I think that's sort of okay. I think it needs to come up a bit. But the interesting, what the annoying thing with me with the RBA is they really focus on the whole inflation or the mean inflation, right? Yeah. But they're not taking out things that are outside our control.
Like energy?
Like energy, right? Yeah. For example, like, you know, we can, I think people who have mortgages who are relying on the rate cuts are doing all we can. You know, we can't probably tighten our belts too much more, to be quite honest. And yet we've got energy prices have nothing to do with how I spend my money. They're always going to keep going up, you know, and they're predicted to keep going up till, you know, 2030. You know, that we're going to see massive increase in energy prices. So inflation, maybe they should be taking the energy rating or energy factor out of the inflation calculation, in my opinion.
You might have to limit the use of your solarium.
Well, yeah. Well, no, it's fake tan. There's no solarium here.
But what are we seeing value-wise? I see the 3 month capital city average or increase or decrease?
Yeah, the rolling average has been pretty good. So across the country, we're up 1.1% on October, up about 6% annually across the whole country. In Victoria, still lagging behind that growth. I think Melbourne's sitting at about 1.85 annually or something like that. But that's still good. You're starting to see regional Victoria, Victoria as a whole starting to catch up to some of the other states. You did have, you know, for a long time with Brisbane, Adelaide, Perth have really led the growth.
Right now, Perth is leading that average at 5.4, followed by Brisbane at 4.9.
But what we're starting to see in the last couple of weeks is that fall away, and we're starting to see some of the other states like Sydney, Melbourne and Tasmania starting to catch up some of that growth. And you're probably seeing that out in the marketplace. I mean, we've had really good clearance rates.
Yeah, I think it's actually funny you say that. Like, I think clearance rates got to about 80%.
Yes. And the last time we had that was like boom times.
Yeah, so, and now they've started to come back a bit. They've been high 60s, early 70s, still a high average, but with talk of no cuts, and you see the amount of stock going to auction dramatically increase as well, which means there's competition.
There is competition. Yeah. There's certainly competition, especially in that sub 900. Market area, that affordable housing price market. You're seeing, every weekend when you and I are going around auctions, you're seeing multiple bidders at that level. Unfortunately, not seeing that reflected at the higher levels at the moment. So anything, sort of 1.5 and above, still very stagnant. But that affordable level, that's been really, really active. And probably, when I think we said that last time that was an active market. Well, it's really hot now, which is fantastic. I think it's good to see that end. And we're seeing an increase in first home buyers as well. I think there's an increase of about 12% of first home buyers over the last quarter.
Well, they say that the new land estate sales, teenagers and first home buyers, like they're very young, the early 20s, are counting in 1 in 8 sales at the moment, and they expect that to balloon over the next 6 months.
That's still a long way to go too, isn't it, really? Because 1 in 8, you'd think that's pretty good, but probably, there's a big way to go in that, isn't there? I mean, it's an interesting time. I think the market's really starting to, I think people are getting used to the fact that interest rates are where they're at, and just getting on with life, which I think it's fantastic. But there's been some really good positive stuff happening around Geelong, like the Market Square, the Saturday market, I should say.
Well, must congratulate Stretch on that one, and that was jam-packed down there a couple of weeks ago.
2 weeks in a row. Yeah. So he's killing it. Stretch done as you know. It's the small things, isn't it? So
just
to fix the CBD
into the city.
Yeah, you have to have something to draw them in, which he's done, and fixing up some of the car parking. I still think they should make the car parking free in the CBD, but that would change a lot of things. But there's a long way to go in the CBD. But at least you're starting to see a couple of positives.
Someone's name has popped up a couple of times in the last week or two. Is Tim Gurner.
And Dean Montgomery.
Yeah. So
2 projects.
2 projects.
Yeah. So they've signed a deal with
the Pier, the Cunningham Pier.
Yeah.
With Costas. So there's a real opportunity.
You know what I'd like to see down there? I mean, they're planning on doing, I think it's hospitality, 6-star hotel, high-end residential, restaurants, bars, public spaces. What I'd love to see is and I think they did say that they're going to have a gangplank so you can get off the ships there.
I think they said we're drawing inspiration from Sydney Harbour luxury waterfront and Dubai sculptural pier edge towers.
There you go. So, I want to see a gangway so you can park the ships there so people can come off there and come into Geelong with all those people off those ships regularly, and a casino. How cool would it be to have a casino at the end of the pier?
I don't know if Geelong needs a casino.
Yeah, I reckon we could have the second casino in Victoria. There should be 2, not 1. It should be in Geelong.
Not sure about that, but anyway. And the other one,
controversial.
Osborne House.
Yeah, a beautiful Osborne House. I've had the pleasure of having to value that a few times for the council, and it is a remarkable building with a remarkable heritage. Did you know it was actually a naval base? It's where the first submarine of Australia was actually based back in 1880, or just before the First World War. Unfortunately, all the soldiers on Osborne House lost their lives in that submarine. When it's sank. So it's actually got a really funny history, Osborne House. Well, funny, it's tragic history, Osborne House, because nearly everybody that's been in it, there's a lot of death associated with it. So after the submarine all got sunk.
Morbid for props.
Yeah, well, after the submarine was sunk somewhere over near Turkey with all hands, there was they then used it as a hospital for servicemen that had been in the trenches and stuff to come home and be repatriated back to Australia, and of course a lot of those had mustard gas poisoning, things like that. So there was a mortuary there and all sorts of stuff. So it's got a bit of a history. And then of course it was the parliamentarian home, or the premier's home for Henry Bolte and other people had it as their the Premier Victoria's house there for a while as well. So it's got a bit of a history, Osborne House.
Done a bit of homework.
Oh, well, I know a bit about Osborne House. Yeah, and it's a beautiful spot. It was the Colac Shire offices there a long time as well. So it's got some history. It's important for Geelong, and I think what they're planning on doing is to preserve a lot of that history with the Maritime Museum and everything that's in there as well, which is important, I think.
Yeah, I'm particularly excited to see what they can do at the pier, because I think that can be the pinnacle, the centre, the identity.
All I'm saying is, Tim, you've made some big promises here, bud. You told us you were going to do something at Brougham Street. We haven't seen it yet.
That's coming.
It's coming. We're going to see the pier, and we're going to see Osborne House, and 3 prime projects that could transform Geelong.
All I know is...
So I am hoping you get this going.
His projects are phenomenal.
Yeah, so, he's a great goer. And, he was the guy that said the avocado thing, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
So he's the avocado man. So,
he's the avocado
he and I have think along the same lines, I think. There's also some interesting stuff going on. We've got our present, we're going to hear shortly about one development at Geelong West. Mm-hmm. But there's also another development that's got went live this week as well at River End in Newtown, which is another 56 apartments and 19 townhouses right down the river. So that's an impressive development as well. So we're going to start seeing things change a lot.
Well, this is probably the second launch project on that river
Yeah.
area. The first being the Barwon Business Park, which is strata office.
Yep.
This is the first apartment one.
Yeah.
And I know there's ones penned for both sides of the river, so it's interesting to see how this goes, because this could be the start of...
Could be the test case. They're going to do this one in stages, which I think is really wise. And if they can get the first stages away and we can see how it could look a beautiful little village down there, then it really could be a new precinct for Geelong and start getting that Fitzroy feel about our river, which would be fantastic, wouldn't it?
Absolutely, and it's so underutilised as well at the moment,
absolutely.
and screaming for redevelopment, whether you like it or not. But I think this could be the start of something really big down the river. So before you did allude, our guest.
Yeah, our guest.
Our guest is Marcus Janke, who is the managing director of UPPROPERTY. After this, we're going to head down to their display suite, and we're going to talk all things Geelong and their upcoming developments. But before we do that, you've got your top 5?
I do. I'll run through my top 5. So, the first one I have is a bit of a sale, obviously done by Barwon Health. They've obviously sold a couple of properties, and I thought they were very interesting because they really good investment type purchases. The first one, 72 Ballerine Street, and I'm going to include 57 to 63 Swanson Street in this as well. They're 2 full blocks of units that were sold as a whole. To investors. So, and one of them had 9 units in it, the other one had 6, and they sold for about 5 million. I actually thought that was really good buying.
Yeah.
I thought they could have gone for a lot more, and I think from a return perspective, I wish I'd known that they were. I wish I had jumped in on those, because I reckon they are a great value. I think they only averaged about 300 grand a unit, which is really cheap.
Both of those were off-market transactions.
They were.
And
I would have paid more for them. But anyway, that's just me. I would have.
You're the typical buyer that says, I would have paid more for that one.
Do you
want to put an offer in?
So I'm putting that one down as my number one of my best sales I've seen. Like, it's best purchases. Right? Best purchases is 72 Ballerine and 57 Swanson. I reckon are great. Now, I'm getting into biz. I'm a country boy. So I, every now and again I feel the pull to the countryside, and I've got a couple of properties that really have piqued my interest lately.
We know you like the private beaches, the vineyards. What's got your interest?
I think I need a tennis court.
Yeah, tennis court.
Okay. Tennis court, right. So 1195 Swan Bay Road, Swan Bay, overlooks Swan Bay. It's a beautiful little country. It's probably about 30 hectares, and it's got a tennis court, a 5-bedroom house, 3 bathrooms, an 8-car garage. You could even fit your Porsche in there, Mike. And it's a beautiful, beautiful spot. Bit of like, it's just a picturesque part of the world down there. I could easily live there. I think they're asking 3.5 to 3.8 with RT Yadkes, and it's a beautiful spot down there. There's still a lot of really high, good quality property up for sale at that sort of level around the coast, and it's just not moving. So I reckon it's a really good time to be looking at some of that stuff. As I think if you went out and had a crack at some of this stuff, I think you'd be the buyers would have the buyer has the power over those sort of transactions at the moment. So it's a buyer's market still for that stuff.
A very pretty rural property.
It is. Yes.
The next one?
Well, another one is also a pretty rural property, smaller, closer to town, but really I love the house.
Yeah,
the house
stunning
is
house.
stunning house. 15, I can't even say this right, Vigneron Avenue, Batesford.
That would do.
It's a beautiful house with stacked stone. It's up for sale at the moment, 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 6-car garage. I think it's the stacked stone that I love the most about this house. It's the beautiful hand-stacked stone all the way around with the modern
internals.
Modern internals and everything. It's just beautiful. It's got a pool on 1.2 hectares of land, and it's internal courtyards and stuff. It's a beautiful house. And Batesford, Batesford's pretty nice. Good pub down Batesford. Yeah, good pub. I could live down in Batesford. So that's my number 3.
What are they quoting on that one?
I think they're quoting 4.1 to 4.3 to 4.6 on that one. I'm going to go have a look at it. Not saying I'm going to buy it because I can't afford it, but I'm certainly going to go have a look at it.
You got a couple properties on your list that have got a bit of a cat's flavour.
Yes, I thought, well, it is the off season, but our girls are going all right. But I thought we should. There's a couple of properties in the market, so the cats are on the move on the property wise. Yep. We've got our staying on the country feel. Our big mate Tom Hawkins. We're going to miss him. Yeah. We're going to miss him. He's leaving town. 204 Andersons Road, Barwon. I've had the pleasure of valuing this many times with Tom, and it is a beautiful property. It has amazing views from the house right across the Barwon Hills, and the Barwon Hills are what we call the Millionaire's Mile. It is just it is a beautiful countryside, and it's very tightly held. And some of the biggest names around the place live out at the Barrel Hills. Rob Costa, all that sort of James Morphy. Hello, James. So it is a beautiful place to live, and this property, Emma's done it up quite well over the years and really added to it. It's a 6-bedroom, 4-bathroom home with 6-car garage, but it's on 60 hectares of land, and I think Tom had a really prime line of Angus beef running out there too. So I'm not sure if the cattle go with the farm, but. It's a very good farm, and, and I think he's fixed up nearly every fence in the place too, so it's in pretty good nick, that property. Tom Hawkins, we're going to miss you. He reckons he's moving to Melbourne, but I don't reckon he'll last in Melbourne. He'll want to come back. He'll want to come back. So we love him. Can't go too far, Tom. The last one, my last top 5, is a home that's been in the Katz family for a long time. So previously owned by Billy Brownless, and then before that, now, currently selling it, is Chris Scott and his wife Sarah.
Yep.
So that is 60 to 62 City Views Drive in Wandana Heights, right up on the top of the hill on about 3,000 square metres. You have the whole view of Geelong from up there.
It's got a bit of everything.
It's got a bit of everything. It's a beautiful home. They've done it up quite well.
You got your pool, you got your tennis court.
It has got a pool. It's got a tennis court. It's got the infinity pool. So it falls off the edge. It's got all that. It's got a big garage and everything too, I think. So 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, beautiful property. That's up for sale at the moment too. So the cats are on a property change, swapping over. Maybe off-season changes and things. Who knows? But that's my top 5 this week, Mike. The market's pretty good. There was a bit to choose from, but it's good to see a bit of good selection of property.
There's some good stock on the market too.
And things transacting and things happening. So it is good time.
Yep. Well, we might jump into the car, jump down to Paco, and go and have a chat to Marcus from Up Property about their plans down at Geelong West and other stuff they've got happening in Geelong.
Let's hope he's got the coffee machine going.
Time for our interview now. We're here with Managing Director of Up Property, Marcus Janke. So Marcus, thanks for joining us on Propped. And we are in a display suite for a soon-to-be-released development, but we will come back to that. So just your ties to Geelong. You've had 20 completed projects so far.
Yeah.
And you've got a further, well, let's just say over $500 million worth of projects to come in Geelong down the track. So why Geelong?
Why Geelong? It's a good question. Thank you, and thanks for coming to our display suite here on Papineau Street. That's our pleasure. The rent bill will be coming through a bit later for this, hosting this, but we're generous. No, so over 20 completed projects, but it's also we've been here for over 20 years in Geelong and have started from small humble beginnings and continue to invest and develop in Geelong. And I guess the question of why is probably has multifaceted answers. I think our DNA is about adding value. And when you come to places like Geelong that go through growth and that continue to go through growth, it's a great environment for us to come into and to add value. And that doesn't matter whether it's in, resi or industrial or commercial. It's a place that needs good people to come in and good people that are already here doing it. But I think that was the driver for us of why we came here. And I think that will continue for a long time to go as a population. So one is really about adding value, and that's in our DNA. We're not investors that just buy and sit on stuff.
Passive investors.
Yeah, we're not passive investors. We really do focus on the value add. We've also sort of done a range of different stuff from resi to commercial to industrial. And I think Geelong has given us that opportunity to play in all of that. We're typically like in other markets, when you go in, they're either too big and you can only focus on one type of asset. Whereas in here, we've been able to sort of play in all of it.
Yeah, office as well.
As well.
Oh, you've got everything. You've got the pubs down in the inn. Pubs, and you've got a lot of CBD land and big developments, planning permits up like Mallet Street. Was there 120 apartments planned in that one? Mallet Street.
A bit more than that. We're over 200.
200 apartments.
Plus
plans and permits there.
Short stay. Just granted.
And you've got this development, obviously, we're going to talk about here. So you've got quite an exposure to quite a wide variety of stuff in Geelong, haven't you? And how, because they're in such different locations around the city, how have you found that being, as opposed to working in the Geelong CBD and trying to get those feasibilities up, as opposed to trying to get a development up in Geelong West? How is that difference been?
So it's a fantastic point. And Geelong, everywhere else in the world is all about timing, and each pocket is different and how it responds to that timing. So Packington Street, this Hope and Autumn development, we're super excited about and bullish about, and crazy enough to actually start this development, which, many people in today's market aren't. We can all whinge and complain about construction costs and governments this and that, but you got to have some certain confidence to start one of these developments.
Yeah.
Packington Street compared to the CBD, but not just compared to the CBD here, compared to most of Victoria, is a really unique market where the supply is really low.
Yeah.
Where are you going to live in a new housing in Packington in Geelong West? There's nothing, and it's so supply is low, but demand is really strong. Like probably Geelong West, Newtown, you guys tell me, is probably some of the most desirable locations from housing. So
absolutely. And the demand for Geelong West, but even if you have a look at the retail strip along here, the vacancy rates along this strip, 3%, where town is at 22% vacancy. And, it's the same.
You have blown the cover. I was going to announce it, but we are here. So let's talk about the development. Hope and Autumn. So as the name describes, it's bound between Hope Street and Autumn Street.
Yeah.
And we're only just 1 or 2 properties back from Packington Street. So it's as close to Packington Street as one's going to get. Yeah,
it's really unique in that I think they, don't quote me on all the sales stuff. I'm not the sales guy, but I think it's got like a 95 walking score, whatever that means. But like when you look out on Paco Street,
you can almost get to anything, right? You can get everywhere.
And the train's right there as well. So there'll be this hybrid of, really local market, but people that also go back to Melbourne. But I think the focus is for people, people know this area, know Packington Street. And if you want to live here, this is where else you're going to do it.
How many apartments?
So there's over 50 across a couple stages. And we're releasing now the first stage, which is on Hope Street, which is 16 apartments. 50% of them are 3 bedrooms. Mm-hmm. And then you've got a mix of sort of 2-bed and a few single beds, but they're all oversized, really focused on owner-occupier. And we've got a great
professional.
Professional.
It's a bit of a different design too, like with the different peak roofs and different levels. Where is that coming about? Because I don't think I can think of a design like it, to be honest.
So there's 2 reasons. One, like our nature in all of our development, whether it's office or retail or resi, we really try to pay respect to the area. Like we're not trying to come in and create the new shining car that stands out, that's different from the architecture. So Geelong West has a great heritage and a great history. So the peaked roofs really speak to the streetscape there, so we can try and fit in nicely. And then the other main driver is we've brought this really fantastic architect, Austin Maynard Architects, into it. Yeah. Pride themselves on delivering sort of sustainable, quality, high-end, but in a part that sort of speaks to the houses around it.
And there's lots of green in it as well.
Yeah.
You don't see too often.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we try and focus on that. There's sort of oversized, lawns and garden areas, so it really feels like a home.
What's been your biggest challenge so far getting this to this point where you're ready to sell?
I think so. Unlike probably touching back on the conversation before or the question earlier about the CBD, the difference here isn't about comparing it to other developments and saying, are the rates right, are this? I think the biggest issue with this is there isn't any comparables. Yeah. So it's us really betting on the market, on Geelong, on ourselves, and on the
specking it,
and specking it, and I think just from the relationships we've got in Geelong, we know enough people to get some.
We've been saying this for a long time that sometimes, there is a problem in Geelong that most developers need to get a certain number of pre-sales before they can get development off the ground, right? And the banks set that by the lending, right? So they say you've got to get 40 or 50 to 60% pre-sales. And that's what holds things back, because the pre-sale levels in Geelong, we haven't got enough of the new development stuff coming through. So we're working on pre-sale, on the sales evidence of much older stuff that was built 2 or 3 years ago or longer, to set those levels of what the values can be. So they're not meeting the feasibility needed or the levels of value needed to make those constructions feasible, right? So they're not getting off the ground because we're finding that developers need that 14, 15, 16,000 a square metre to build these things. But the pre-sales aren't supporting that. So, the sales of previous developments aren't supporting that because they're so old. So what you're doing now is you're going to go out and you're going to build something new, and you're going to say, we're going to show you. We're going to show you can achieve these levels of value. And when that happens, this could be the catalyst to a whole lot more, which is an important point, because I think all of Geelong needs this to happen. We need to prove that there's a market, at that 14, 15, 16,000 a square metre rate, so that we can get other developments off the ground. So it's a bit of a hat off to you guys to spec it. It's ballsy, but it's the location you can do it, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. Well, I think even more to that point, like people have tried and tested it, but it's always been about selling the water.
Yeah.
Whereas this is selling the whole lifestyle of Geelong. This isn't just about, hey, you got to.
It's got value proposition, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Which is exactly what we were saying about the CBD. It lacks that value proposition, doesn't it?
Well, these are the cafes you want to go to, walkability to the train station.
Yeah.
This is a lifestyle. This is you go and you buy an apartment for a lifestyle. You don't buy it for affordability. You buy it for lifestyle, and you're going to get the full lifestyle here. It's a bit like the Bowls one down the road, which was 10, 15 years ago, that Bowls development, and that still remains one of the most successful developments in Geelong. And at the time, it was the higher values and higher unit rates that we'd ever seen in Geelong as well. So the area has tried and tested these sort of high-end markets and values in the past, hasn't it? And it's been able to improve it. So I'm looking forward to this getting off the ground and being able to prove that we can get some more stuff off the ground like it.
Yeah, as are we.
On the other side of town, Hyden, you've got another development about to take shape in Morven Court. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that one?
Yeah, so Morven Court's a really interesting one, and it's been sort of a labour of love over a range of years. And, it sort of speaks to the way we operate as our property, and we have a range of land holdings, and we sort of pick and choose when we can activate them, and we sort of grow with the market appropriately, but it also means we're here for a long period of time. Morven Court we've owned for, over 6 years, I think. And it's been through a few town planning cycles. And
I was going to say, I think this is the third or fourth go at it, isn't it, really?
Yeah. And it's resulted in what we think is a really great response for the area. So Hyden is just a fantastic market. And similar to Geelong West in that it's also really revered. You've got the village not too far from this site. So just over 20 townhomes there. Really nicely designed, again, oversized, 3 and 4 bedrooms. We've just, we started civil works earlier in the year, and by the end of this year, roads will be down and house construction will commence early 2026. So
exciting.
Yeah, it's really exciting.
Really slick design.
Yeah, exactly. It's a really, really nice product that we're proud of. And again, it's back to what you were saying, like there's a time where, you got to be a little bit courageous as developers, otherwise you sit around, and we're pretty confident in the product we're going to create there and know that there's a need and demand for it. So we're excited for it.
It is great that you're speccing it. And Morven Court, you've been flexible. That's the main thing that's got that there, because you've ridden a wave of, I think you got challenged at VCAT and all that sort of stuff, original designs. You've changed to what people asked for, and what the product you're going through now.
And I think that's important.
Quite suitable for the area.
You're not fly-by-nighters. You've been doing developments in Geelong for, we're having this conversation before, about 20 years.
Yeah, about 20 years.
And some of the stuff has been varied and mixed, and I think you worked tirelessly with Barwon Health to build a mental health facility in Mirrabel Street. So in terms of you being part of the fabric of Geelong, this is quite evident.
And there's the Harbour Andrews building as well. So you've actually done that whole change of use thing, that whole go and buy existing building in the CBD and change the use, and as well as you've done that Barwon Health and Harbour Andrews, the refit there is just next level, isn't it? So that's a good one too. You've also gone and bought something massive in Melbourne to do change of use, haven't you?
Everything's relative.
Well, yeah.
There we go.
I heard the Queen Street, Melbourne.
Yeah. So excitingly, like we've bought our first Melbourne CBD asset, and again, that's sort of a test to, we're agnostic in terms of what we buy, as long as there's a way we can add value to it, and there's an opportunity.
So Melbourne's interesting because they're very similar issues, parallel issues, just on a bigger scale to Geelong, right? Like in Geelong, we've got about 40,000 square metres of vacant office. In Melbourne, they've got 194,000 of vacant office. It's huge.
Close to 1 million square metres.
It is. It's insane. Yeah. Well, that's on the tongue of the official figures, right? They bring that down. So, but it's insane. But everybody talks about, and I've heard so many ministers come out and say, "Oh, we should just turn them into residential apartments." In most cases, it's impossible to do.
Yeah.
But in this case, that's what you're looking at.
Well, we're definitely exploring it. What's interesting is this building, specifically 50 Queen, is like the perfect example. All the big architects, engineers, as soon as we bought it, they all called us because it's been in one of these studies. It's this island side. It's got windows around the whole building, right floor-to-floor ceilings. But the issues with doing this converge, so it's the right one for it.
Yeah.
We're exploring it. The issue, obviously, is with cost. So because the common misconception is, you've got the existing building, you don't have to build the basement for a couple of years, but if you've got to comply with the current standards.
So this takes us back to the National Construction Code, right,
Yeah.
which was written in 2016.
Yes.
Has had 6 different variations to it, and still remains a dog's breakfast because it still doesn't allow you, or isn't written in a way that you can go and take an existing building and convert it to a different use. It's only written for brand new buildings.
Correct.
And so by doing so, everything you've got to do in that building to change it, you need to go to a consultant and say, oh, we need to put a door in here. So the consultant has to go away and write a performance solution to put in that door that was different from what it used to be. So you can see how there's just so many things inside a development of that scale.
Yeah.
How many stories is it?
It's 15.
15 stories. So the consultancy costs alone to do the change of use to get the permits are going to be extraordinary.
Well, even touching on the dispensation, because that's how you get through it. The truth is there's no one brave enough, because they haven't been given the tools. This is your consultants and building surveyors who will sort of give pass for the essential safety things.
No.
So the stuff like the seismic, I know this is starting to get a bit detailed, but all the earthquake stuff and the fire stuff, nobody's going to
Don't forget your acoustics reports,
Yeah.
your structural engineer reports, your fire engineer, your fire services guy, your mechanical service guy. The list of consultants involved in doing a development like that is now insane.
Yeah. And look, we've experienced it. So we've fallen into this niche of adaptive reuse on multiple projects. So probably our most well-known project is the conversion of the old Philip Morris factory in Moorabbin, which is a
Recently just won awards for
an award-winning development. Nothing, thanks to all of our consultants.
Did you find learnings through that one that you help you with this one?
Yeah, majorly. The difference with that is that wasn't change of use.
Yeah.
So we could work within
it's a bit lot easier. It's a lot
We did
easier.
everything from a brewery to office to industrial in that precinct, and then even if I bring it back to Geelong, we took the Barwon Health. That was a derelict 2-story arcade. Everyone will remember.
Yeah.
And
I remember it well. I mean, I did do the original Vals, remember? There was homeless people in there every time we went in there. There was, there was an old guy that used to wrap the papers in plastic. He used to get the paper thrown to you in a plastic book. Yeah. That's where they did it, down there in the arcade.
One of those little shops.
Yeah.
I don't remember the first few times that I would go down there. It was like one of these. I worked and lived in New York for a long time. One of the first few things someone taught me there is, especially when you're Brooklyn or Bronx, when you walk into a vacant building, you always come in and you lock the door behind you. And the same thing happened when we went to the
absolutely.
the old Belcher Arcade. They used to come in, lock the door behind
Well,
you.
there was an old rule. There was a bit of a rule. There's a bit of rule in property that you don't buy arcades. They were just outdated. They were a 60, 70 thing that couldn't. But actually, you did that and you changed it to use. But the other arcade now in town has actually started to get some legs too. So maybe the old arcades do provide a fair bit of potential if you've got the like you guys, big wide eyes, and be able to get a bit of a vision for them.
Yeah, and celebrate them, celebrating the character, because you can't build those things new. So if you figure out how to get people in touch with it and keep it to some format, it's we think it's a great value add.
So, Marcus, strategically, you look at Geelong, you've got a lot of projects penned for Geelong. Where do you see Geelong in that 5-10 year bracket?
Yeah, so I will start by saying, look, we're in really, unprecedented, volatile times. You look at the job market, then you look at the interest rates, is it going to go up and down? Then you look at inflation, and it's like all the time it's changing. But I guess what we know and what our core is, we're long-term. We have a long-term view on it, and that's how we're going to create our wealth. So as long as we can create vehicles and structures that let us get through a long period of time, we think it'll be all right. We picked Geelong because we think it will continue to grow over a long period of time. Like you guys, over previous shows have talked about the different statistics about the population.
Do you watch?
Yeah, of course. Of course. Not only do I watch,
Here's the other one.
Sits down and we watch it together.
My family don't watch.
So here's the other one. Every other capital city around Australia has gone crazy. Every other minor capital city has gone crazy. So it's like even Adelaide, 8.6% growth, right? You got Brisbane up, it's like 9 and 9.5% growth. You got Perth have massive growth, and they've all grown in the last 12 months. But then you have a look at Victoria's growth, negative 2% over the same time. But population growth has stabilised at about 2.8 to 3%. And so you've got more people coming here. For some reason, there's a bit of angst. There's a bit of let's not quite get in yet. There's a bit of negativity around Victoria and around Melbourne and Geelong. But I think that a couple of rate drops and things like that. I think the straw's about to break the camel's back is what I'm saying.
And when you're talking our population essentially doubling in a fairly short amount of time, there's a lot to happen, isn't there?
Yeah. Well, you guys have been here forever. What do you guys see over the next 5 years rather than 10 years? Like, and then I guess, like, again, back to everyone complaining about stuff. Like we've seen it over the last 20 years, and myself personally over the last 5 to 10. Even though it's not that rapid growth, Geelong's changed for the better.
Huge different change.
Yeah.
And it's going to keep changing, and it's going to keep growing. And that's the thing. Not many economies around the world can say that they're going to continue to have this population growth, that they're going to continue to grow in capital growth. But ours is pretty solid. Solid for a long time yet, I think. And that's one of the reasons why I've got my business set up here. You know, that's why I set up my business here about 20 years ago as well. And I remember doing one of my first jobs for Adam when he first set up, when he bought a few houses in Corio back at the time. I think he was paying $45,000 a pop, and I think he bought 11 or 12 houses around Corio, North Lane for $40,000-$50,000 a pop. And that was his first stuff he got going, wasn't it? And then he did quite well out of those too. So you've been part of the fabric of Geelong for 20 years, but you know, if I'm coming and this population's growth and I'm a young person wanting to get in down in Geelong West, how do I buy one of these? Where do I see it?
Ask our good.
Are you selling?
Oh,
well, Garland
are involved.
There you go.
With our friends in Melbourne, Castron, but we do have these launching in a couple of weeks, and so there'll be lots of information coming out.
Well, as I said, I think this is so important for Geelong that someone comes in and specs a build. And I think hopefully you get these away at the level of value we need, because there's 20 other developments sitting behind you that could change the face of Geelong. You know, we've got a population target of 128,000 for Geelong, the CBD. And this is the only way we're going to get there. And we're only going to get there if someone can come out and prove that these are worth what they are. And I think this is the first one to do so. So well done, congratulations, and really good luck.
Thanks, guys. And
thanks for joining us.
Thanks. Love your work. Get your families to watch your own shows going forward and keep it all going.
No worries. Thanks
again. Cheers.
Well, it is that time for us to sign off for another episode. We must thank Marcus Janke from our property. I think what they're doing in Geelong and their commitment to Geelong.
Yes, they're great. They're great for Geelong. They've spent a lot of money over the long time. They've fought the hard battles with some of their developments to get them off the ground, and really, it's good to see some of the successes. That sometimes,
well, we need more of them, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
They've got in planning at the moment about $500 million worth of projects and more in the future.
Well, we could do with another 4 or 5 up properties around, couldn't we?
Yeah, so very important to Geelong, and love what they're doing.
Yep, and thank you, Adam, for everything you've done as well with Up Property to help push that along and get that interview with Marcus. So thank you.
Yeah, so thanks again, Marcus, and thanks for tuning in again. If you want to continue to hear from us, please don't forget to subscribe. Otherwise, we'll see you on another episode of Propped.
See you before Christmas, hopefully.